according to a report, the Browns and Minnesota are in talks to send OBJ to the Vikings in exchange for a second and fifth round pick next year. Shannon, in your opinion, how much would it hurt Baker Mayfield to lose Odell Beckham Jr.?
Well, I don't think it'll help him because I don't think it'll hurt him, but I don't think it helped him. Skip, look, let's be real. Baker Mayfield regressed last year. Now, I don't know if he started to smell himself, started to think he was better than he actually was, started reading his press clippings. But what we started to see, Skip, is that when someone would criticize Baker Mayfield, he always had a response. Instead of answering that with his play on the field, he felt it would be cool to tweet something or respond in an open forum. Me personally, I don't think Odell ever wanted to be there. So that has a lot to do with it, Skip. You know, being somewhere that you want to be. It doesn't matter, you know, yeah, it's football. We get that. But to go from New York City, the bright lights, the Big Apple, to Cleveland, Ohio, Skip, come on now. You worked in a lot of locales. You've been in Chicago, and you worked in Dallas, and you worked in I think Florida, the Miami paper. So you've been to some big cities, and then you've had to travel and go to smaller cities. Okay, Odell is in Paris at fashion shows. Odell is travels with Drake, and all of a sudden he's like, man, I'm stuck here for 8 months in Cleveland. He didn't want to be there. I'm not saying he didn't play hard because I believe Odell did play hard. And maybe he had a nagging injury. But I believe Odell would be better served if he went somewhere else. Now, I'm not saying that, Skip, Minnesota. I like Minnesota, Jenny, so I don't want you to think I'm taking a shot at Minnesota. But I believe he would be better served in Minnesota with Zimmer and Kirk Cousins than being in Cleveland with Baker Mayfield and that new head coach. Skip, he needs a change of pace. He didn't want to go to Cleveland. He doesn't like being in Cleveland no matter what he says. He doesn't like being in Cleveland. And Baker Mayfield took a step back. He did 117 progressive commercials or whoever he does insurance for, and that's too many. Every time someone says something that he doesn't like or criticizes him in any way, he's on Twitter or he's publicly saying something at a press conference. Go play football. The best way to shut critics up is with play on the field, not with tweets and not with little innuendos at your press conference.
Okay, I hear most of what you just said, but I'm going to take it one more step. I say that trading Odell would be the best thing that could happen to Baker Mayfield because the reason he regressed was Odell. And the reason he regressed was he loves Odell to a fault. He loves hanging with him off the field. He loves partying with Odell. He loves just being around him. They're very close friends to a fault. So Baker did everything in his power to make Odell comfortable in Cleveland, Ohio. And I'm so with you, Shannon. Odell wants to be on the cover of GQ, not on the cover of the Cleveland Plain Dealer, which is a fine newspaper. But Odell's like, me? Here? No. And I agree with you, and I said it 5 times on Undisputed through the football season. I don't know what possessed Baker to think that he should do that many different. It seemed like they made 29 different variations of that progressive commercial. This is my house. I live at the stadium. It's too many. They were relentlessly run during football games. You couldn't turn on the TV during NFL season without seeing another version of This Is My House for Progressive Insurance, which, by the way, is based in Cleveland, Ohio. And obviously, the progressive executives fell in love with Baker as the world did, and certainly Cleveland did during his rookie year. He only went 6-7 during his rookie year, but was it not a spectacular 6 wins that he pulled off, and they were in most of the other games? So why did he regress statistically? He went from, as a rookie, he was 27 touchdowns to 14 interceptions. Last year, he was 22 to 21. Why was that? Well, he's forcing the ball to Odell to keep him happy. So obviously they already had a go-to receiver who just 2 years before had led the NFL in catches in Jarvis Landry. Again, I know he's Odell's soulmate. I know they both played at LSU together. I know they were close friends from way back in their high school days. I get that. But there's only one football, and when you have two diva-like receivers, Jarvis not quite the diva that Odell is, but still huge pride and sizable ego, it's going to be almost impossible to keep them both happy. So Odell got 133 thrown to him, while Baker threw 138 balls to Jarvis, 133 to 138. Well, Odell only cashed in on 56% of his targets. That's horrible. And that was his career low. And then all the rest of his stats are career low, career low, career low. And you could be right, Shannon. Was he nicked? Did he have something going on? I don't know. He alluded to some leg injuries. I'm not sure what was going on, but he did not help the Browns. Maybe his heart wasn't in it, but he was getting the attention that he deserved. He was getting the 133 targets. He just didn't give you much bang for the bucks you were paying him. And now I look at where they're going without him. It could be great because, remember, they went out and got Austin Hooper, and he caught 75 balls last year from Matt Ryan and made his second straight Pro Bowl as a tight end. And he cashed in on 77% of his targets from Matt Ryan. So, wow, that's pretty cool that you got him as a go-to security blanket tight end. And remember, Njoku broke his wrist last year, so he was only around for 4 games. So now you got 2 big-time tight ends, and they've got the 10th overall pick. And if they did pull off this trade and they had 2 second-round picks, thanks to Minnesota's 2, and then a 5 on top of that, this is the deepest draft in receivers I think we've ever seen. I'm not saying there's a stud at the top, like a game changer. There's no Julio, there's no Calvin Johnson, but there are a whole bunch of really good plug-and-play receivers who could start next year for a lot of football teams. So you're going to get somebody, and remember, they added Jack Conklin as their new right tackle. So at the 10th pick, you could pick a stud tackle that'll be a perennial Pro Bowler for 10, 12 years. And then in the second round, or you could trade up with your 2-2s to late first round, you could get your receiver to replace Odell. So I think it's going to clear the decks for Baker Mayfield. I think you'd see a huge bounce back year for Baker if, in fact, you could move Odell to Minnesota.
Skip, you could be right because I'm looking at these numbers. Baker to Odell ranked last in completion percentage, passer rating among quarterback wide receiver duos with at least 100 targets. So in other words, Skip, look, if you're open, I'm going to throw you the ball. And there are going to be certain situations, Skip. Now, I can't start the game by forcing the ball to you because that's going to get me out of rhythm. And see, the thing is with Baker is that he saw when Odell didn't get the ball early, and like this is like with most receivers, this is why a lot of teams would double T.O. and get him out of the game, get him frustrated, and then they could go about their business. Baker saw that when Odell gets frustrated, you're probably going to lose him. So let me try to do everything I possibly can to get him the ball early. Well, in the process of forcing the ball and not getting it, you exacerbate a situation because you get yourself out of a rhythm. And then Odell, Skip, look, I don't care. He might have not wanted to be there, but he wanted to show the Giants, this is what you gave up on. And so he started to press. He started to want to be the Odell of his first couple of years when he was 100%. Well, you know, he's missed the first 4 games, if I'm not mistaken, Skip, of his rookie year with a hamstring injury. But then he came on like gangbusters the next 2 to 3 years. He wanted to show the Giants he was still that, and he started to press. You put him in Minnesota because I do believe, and I think you believe, that Cousins right now is a better quarterback than Baker Mayfield. We can debate this down the road 2-3 years from now and see. But you pair Odell with Thielen, with Dalvin Cook in that backfield. So now, if you try to play coverage, Dalvin Cook is going to, you try to play coverage, Dalvin Cook's going to run the ball down your throat. Well, you come up and try to stack that guy in the box. Now you leave Thielen and Odell one-on-one. And plus, Odell on that synthetic turf indoors? I love it. Plus, Skip, there will be any receiver that you want at that 10 spot. You want Judy, you want CeeDee Lamb, they will be there at 10. Because now you got a first grade, your pick, plus you got you'd have 2 twos. Yeah, Skip, I would do this deal. Odell is on a reasonable contract next 4 years at $15 million a year, which is going to be, chicken feed moving. We say chicken feed, but it's going to be small compared to what receivers are going to get moving forward. We saw Amari Cooper's already at 20. We see Mike Thomas is at 20. Julio's at 20. So $15 million for a guy of Odell's caliber. He's 100%. He'll be focused because, Skip, it's not going to look okay. We blame the Giants. Well, Eli is a shell of himself. So Eli can't get the ball. We blamed it on Baker. Baker doing too many commercials. Baker regressed. Now, how many different places Odell going to get to go, and we keep blaming the quarterback? At some point in time now, every place we go, it stinks. It smells like a baby went to the bathroom in here. Now, we have 3 places. It'll be 3 places, Skip. 8 diapers everywhere. It might be you.
It might be. Shannon, what I always respected the most about you and your career was you were a great player. You're in the Hall of Fame, but you were also a great leader. So you weren't really a me guy. You were a we guy. No. You were one of the ultimate we guys as a team leader, somebody who could galvanize a locker room in both Denver and Baltimore. Why do I always make the case that I think Michael Irvin was the greatest receiver ever? Because of leadership intangibles. I was there through those dynastic years in the 90s with the Dallas Cowboys. And Emmett was great and Troy was great, but Michael was the leader of the team. And it's rare that you find the wide receiver who can be a diva wide receiver who's actually the leader of the team. And I always said that the playmaker, as they called Michael Irvin, number 88, he's the guy I wanted in my foxhole in December in New York or in Philadelphia or in Washington in the big NFC East battles because he was the go-to guy. He was the one who dug them out of holes with big 3rd and 8 catches, and he was the guy who went to the sidelines and rallied the troops. He was the guy on a Wednesday before a big game who rallied the whole locker room just the way you did and the way Ray Lewis did in Baltimore. Well, I just gave you the complete flip side, the 180 from Odell. Odell is me, me, me. Odell is a solo act. Odell talks about wanting to win, but he doesn't act like he wants to win. So he wants to star, obviously. He wants the numbers. He wants you to throw him the rock 10 or 12 times a game, and he wants to say, I got 120 today. But he doesn't really care, really care about the outcome of the game, which is why he's overvalued. He's overhyped. He's overpaid to me because you're not going to get enough value for what he's going to bring you as a veteran leader of your football team. He's just not worth it.
Skip, when you look at one of the clips that I'm known for, when I'm on the sideline calling the National Guard, we're playing the Patriots in Foxborough. Skip only had like 2 or 3 catches, but we won the game going away. What Odell doesn't understand, Skip, this is why, and I believe, look, we talked about this, I think it was on Monday, about how the Giants left him off of the all-time great receivers. Skip, I got my timeline flooded. They're like, well, Odell didn't win a Super Bowl. Knicks and Cruz, Manningham won Super Bowls. So the fans looking at it like, yeah, Odell, you great, but you ain't win nothing. That's what Odell has to understand. In order for you to have historically greatness, is that you got to win. And what? Even if you don't, Skip, even if you don't win the Super Bowl, get your team there. Play well. People look at Julio, even though they didn't win. They look at the catches that he made, especially on that 22-yarder, Skip. Like, how in the heck did he make that catch? They look at T.O. on one leg. They're like, but Odell is like, he doesn't get it. Odell, you have to understand. There are going to be times you're going to catch 10 for $150 and 2 touchdowns, and there are going to be times that you have 5 for 55. But your value has to be more than just catching passes and yards. You got to get down in the blocking game. But if you win, the praise and the adulation that you seek will come. But that catch ruined it. Odell saw, they lost that game. People don't, Skip, you know because you're Cowboy fans. I know because I watched. They lost the game in which Odell had the catch.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.